What's up, guys? It is the Christmas season for gaming. It is E3 week. I'm so damn excited to see all the announcements and just surprises and also, I guess, leaks that are going to happen this week. It's going to be great. So far, we've already had some interesting announcements prior to E3, but the thing I really want to talk about today, as you can tell from the title, is that The Evil Within 3 might actually be a possibility. And why that sounds surprising, it's not the quality of The Evil Within 1 or 2, it's the unfortunate factor that The Evil Within 2 didn't sell well. Now, to go really into it, I thought The Evil Within 1 and 2 were fantastic survival horror games. I've played them numerous times and really have enjoyed them. And I've heard, very positive feedback of the games from anyone that I've talked to during a stream, YouTube video, or just like posts on Reddit or different forums. Overall, most people seem to like it. Some people prefer 1 over 2, some people seem to prefer 2 over 1, and the point is still that everyone has thought for the most part that it was a good game. And I loved that while it was open world, which was different from the first one, I still managed to feel like it had that creepy factor. And overall, it had a really good story, and it felt connected to the first game, especially if you played the 2 DLCs, The Assignment and The Consequence, from the first one. You really felt the connection, and I thought it was great overall. And I've played it numerous times, like I've said, and have always just had a blast with it. I even bought it on both PS4 and Xbox One, and they even went on to receive patches for the upgraded versions of the consoles, that being the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X. And then they even went ahead months down the line and added a full first-person mode option where you can play the entire game, not just the selected segments, in first person, which I personally have not done yet, but actually think would be a pretty fun idea to do like on a stream or something. But I haven't done it, but I've heard good feedback. And overall, to release a massive update like that down the line months later, even when you already knew that the game didn't sell well, or maybe people were waiting for a discounted price, at that point it had to have been discounted, the baseline price, that you go ahead and release this massive update. That's really cool, because a lot of companies will release a game and never support it, whether that's no longer adding any patches or adding any free or paid DLC, which Evil Within 2 never received any paid DLC. But it's just unfortunate that it didn't sell well, because the marketing I thought was really great. At the E3 that they showed the Evil Within 2 for the first time, they had this really good trailer, and it immediately was like, oh my god, this is awesome, I can't wait to get my hands on it. It wasn't really any gameplay to it, but it just looked great. Obviously they showed gameplay down the line before the game released, but at that point they just had that trailer, which I thought was really well done. And as far as like the marketing, other than the trailer, I would see in subway stations and just buses passing by, I would see them have the Evil Within 2 branding on it, like the logo of the cover of the game, seeing the release date. So I know the marketing was there for this game. There are some differences from the second to the first. The second obviously being open world, being more Western, having choices when you're talking, having side quests. Obviously that usually comes with having games that are open world, but still retaining that horror, but it felt different than the Japanese horror that the first game had. The first one was really dark, really gritty, kind of had like a Saw-like feel, like an old school horror feel. And I know that's what Shinji Mikami was going for, whereas the Evil Within 2, Western, it was different, but I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. They did an open world, but I felt like they handled the amount of quests and, the world itself, backtracking and just the different areas you can explore. They did it really well. So, the real point is I was just so puzzled as to why it didn't sell well. And the real reason why we're coming to this video, I just wanted to kind of explain why this is surprising, because I know some people are going to say, well, I heard the Evil Within 1 and 2 were good games, and they're at least the first one was directed by Shinji Mikami. The second one was, I believe, was just produced by him, or at least executive producer. I wouldn't be surprised that it would get a third game, but it's because 2 did not sell well, even though people really liked it, and we were all in doubt that the third one would ever be a possibility. But how we're coming to and how we're coming to this idea that there actually is a possibility is that I have the tweets right here. I'm just kind of trying to get it all in order. On June 8th, obviously this year, 2019, 2:29 a.m., Shinji Mikami from his Twitter tweeted this, and I'll put it on the screen. First day of rehearsal, end. So it's like, June 8th, a day ago, and E3's around the corner. In fact, today, it's 1 a.m. right now, but today will be Bethesda's conference. Tonight will be Bethesda's conference, which obviously Bethesda is the publisher. And then to follow that up, I mean, that could be anything, right? That could be anything. And then to follow it up, Shinji Mikami then tweets the same day at 10:29, June 8th, all rehearsals are over. Tomorrow is the real thing. And obviously, tomorrow being June 9th is Bethesda's conference. So yeah, to me, there's no coincidence. It has to be that he's going to be announcing an Evil Within 3. Something real quick to note that I thought was very interesting. So I saw a Reddit post talking about this very same thing. And I personally haven't followed this, but I didn't know. But someone actually said that Shinji Mikami apparently has not been to E3 since 2001 when he presented the first Devil May Cry on Sony's E3 stage, which is insane. I obviously haven't paid attention to really like see if he had been on. He had left Capcom some time ago. So to know that he may be actually coming out to present a game, at a conference all these years later, that's a pretty big deal. That means that whether this is a new IP under the, Tango Gameworks, or if this is the Evil Within 3, it must be a big deal to him. Again, I thought that the Evil Within 1 and 2 are fantastic games. He wasn't the director for Evil Within 2, and then this is another interesting little tidbit that I want to point out. So, I believe this is how you pronounce his name. If I butcher it, I'm sorry, but John Johannes, who is the game director on the Evil Within 2 and The Assignment and the Consequence, the two of the 3 DLCs for the first Evil Within, which featured Julie Kidman, who is a really cool character, and then he got to go on and direct the Evil Within 2. Like I said, Evil Within 2 had a more Western approach, and that was kind of the reason. And he's also just the game designer at Tango Gameworks. Now, here's the interesting thing. On his Twitter, he has not tweeted since November 26, 2018, right? And then the next tweet he did was a retweet of Bethesda talking about them doing their showcase, their E3 press conference. So he retweeted this on March 18th. Then he posted an image on Instagram that I don't really think has any relation to this. He then retweeted again about Bethesda's conference. And yeah, that's it. So this whole year, pretty much like the 3 posts he did, 3 out of the 4 if you don't want to include the picture, we're talking about Bethesda's E3 conference. So it leads me to believe, yes, we will be getting at least a new game from Tango Gameworks. It could be a new IP, but I'm most likely going to bank on the fact that it will be the Evil Within 3, and I'm really freaking excited for that. And I don't think that it's far-fetched. I think horror has really come full circle. I think there was a point in time where horror was kind of dying out. It was becoming more action-y. Unfortunately, it was thanks to Resident Evil 4 and, other games were coming out. Dead Space brought that back, the survival horror, and then went into the realm of action as it went on to mainly, Dead Space 3, a bit in Dead Space 2, but mainly Dead Space 3. So I think that, even a game like The Last of Us, where it was a bit, of just exploration and action, it had horror in it, and it was done on a really big mainstream level, and it was great. And overall, we're just getting a lot of good, interesting sci-fi horror games, like, Prey from 2017, I believe was the year, or 2016. Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2 Remake, which have proven to be fantastic horror games. And like I said, the Evil Within 2 and 1, both were great horror games, and I love them. I will continue to replay them. I think they're so much fun. So to see Evil Within 3, I'm really freaking excited. At least a new IP from Tango Gameworks, which, if it's Shinji Mikami, I have to assume that it's a horror game or horror action. He left Capcom And he has done other projects before The Evil Within, but The Evil Within was really like, this is horror. I really want to scare people again and bring that horror, I know I'm using the word horror a million times, but bring that feeling, that feeling of fear back. And I think he did a great job. And yeah, I mean, it has to be that. And as far as ideas I have for a potential Evil Within 3, well, obviously everyone's going to say the first thing, and this will contain minor spoilers. I'm going to try my best not to really like delve into it too much, but Ruvik made no appearances in The Evil Within 2, and at the very end, when you finished The Evil Within 2, you saw in the STEM system, you saw the computer like kind of reactivate. So we're all assuming Ruvik might be stuck in STEM somehow and will be able to make an appearance again, which I think was great. I loved Ruvik's character in the first Evil Within. Admittedly, I feel like I didn't really grasp the story of The Evil Within the first time I had played it. It really took a second and third playthrough to really like, I guess, digest and really understand all the information, because it's not one of those games that throws all the story at your face. You know, there's a lot of documents, like old school Resident Evil files and whatnot, and I think the way it's presented confused a lot of people, and I think that's probably part of the point. But when you really truly understand the story, and I'm sure there's people who 100% understand the story, like probably right off the bat. I had taken a big gap from the first time I played the game to the second and third time I played the game. Years gap, actually. I finished the game when it first came out, but then for whatever reason just didn't play it again for a while, and I enjoyed it. I think it's a great game. I enjoyed it so much more the second time, and then the reoccurring times I played it after. And I think that Ruvik would make perfect sense to come back in Evil Within 3, and that would be really interesting. Another thing that I can see happening is Julie Kidman taking the role of the main character. At the end of the Evil Within 2, again, spoilers here, you are able to save Lily, which is Sebastian's daughter, who he thought in the first Evil Within was dead. That was part of the plot that they had mentioned. So you thought she was dead, and he was able to figure out that she's still alive and even save her. So to me, his story is pretty much done. I can see Sebastian being, just a family man, getting the hell away from all the areas that he's been and just wanting to enjoy his life with his daughter, which makes perfect sense. But Julie Kidman, could definitely still continue. I think to tie into that, another interesting thing would be to see where Joseph is at. Joseph is a character that was in the Evil Within 1, who you thought was dead from the DLC. When you play as Julie and you fight him in a boss battle, you thought that he was dead, and you find out in Evil Within 2, as you're collecting the photos for the projector, that he's actually still alive. But the way that they explain it is kind of like, okay, well, he's alive, but I'll tell you about it when this is all over. And when it was all over, they never said anything about it. So to me, you could bring him back maybe as a protagonist, as a secondary protagonist, to go along with Julie. There's definitely different possibilities. Another small little thing, is this pretty much probably the last thing I could really think of, but another small thing they could do, it doesn't have to be the overall plot, because it's not really big enough to be the overall plot, but it could be something implemented in the game, whether it's a chapter-based game or open world, is Julian Sykes, which was a character. He was a technician for Mobius, part of the Alpha team. He was a supporting character in the Evil Within 2. You found him optional-wise. You didn't have to save him, but you find him in the second open world area, and you're able to save him. And saving him, you open up some side quests, which give you some really good rewards. And basically how he got out of STEM, you're stuck in STEM in the Evil Within 2, he went through a method that they did where they basically were able to extract themselves out. But it had I think it was a 20 or 25% success rate. And he does it, because he doesn't want to wait around, which I think was probably a smarter decision, because he probably would have died had he stayed. And you never know what happens. You never know if he makes it out or not. So I think that would be a cool little interesting thing to add to the Evil Within 3. Honestly, we have no idea. I like I said, I think Ruvik is probably the biggest, the most common idea people have when they think of a sequel to the Evil Within 2. and I think that would be perfectly fine. I think anyone would accept that. People probably wanted Ruvik in Evil Within 2. I was okay with not having him, but by the end I was like, oh, it'd be pretty cool to know what happened, even though I think that they solved everything in the Evil Within 1. Either way, there's tons of ideas, and like I said, this is kind of all the proof that we have that actually might be a possibility. Some people think that he might be announcing a Capcom title. I don't think so, because why would it be falling on the same day as the Bethesda conference? It just makes no sense. Also, as far as Bethesda games go, pretty much all of them they announced have already released. Rage 2 just released. They're going to be releasing, I believe it's called Wolfenstein Youngblood, which is like a side game from the Wolfenstein series. Wolfenstein 2 already came out. Doom Eternal, something we already know about, even though we're probably going to see. They released that side Dishonored game. So it's like, I feel like with all their IPs, there's more than that, obviously. I feel that they have pretty much delivered a new entry. There is definitely possibilities for brand new IPs as well, but I definitely think it's going to be 2 years. Well, actually, it's already been 2 years now. It'll be 2 years now since they've announced Evil Within 2. So I think we're more than ready for an Evil Within 3. Could be a new IP. Either way, let me know what you think. Whether you think it's Evil Within 3, or if you think it's a brand new IP, or maybe it's nothing. I just feel like the coincidence. It's just too much of a coincidence, and I just don't see it being something that's related to E3, considering they all rehearse for their conferences. I've checked already. Phil Spencer is always like, we just did the Xbox conference. We, did the rehearsal like 3 different times. We feel confident. We feel ready. And that's no exception for like Bethesda or EA or Square Enix or Sony or any of that. They all do that as well. So Bethesda's no exception. So I can totally see that being, again, an announcement for an upcoming game. Most likely the Evil Within 3. Either way, it's 2 in the morning. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just wanted to bring this out to your attention, because I'm sure there's probably a lot of people that haven't noticed this and maybe want to get their hopes up and just be hyped in the Bethesda conference that will come tomorrow. There's also the Microsoft conference. They could potentially announce it there. Sony has opted out of E3 this year, so Microsoft has all that time to soak in like the multi-platforms and whatnot. So we may see it at the Microsoft conference, we may see it at Bethesda's conference. Hey, let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you in the next video.